Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. Today we've got a full slate of updates to break down for you. This is the 134th episode of Hawks Latest presented by FanArt, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know I have, but like I said, we've got a whole lot to break down today because several things are going on with the Atlanta Hawks and really just around the league that we have to cover that at one point related to the Hawks. We're going to start with Kobe Bufkin, the Hawks legend. Just kidding. The guy who was with the team the past few seasons, and then he was looking to be on the team this season. I mean, it was definitely shaping up to be like that, but he was traded right before the season to the Brooklyn Nets, and so the Nets released him, and he did just sign with a new team. So we're going to talk all about Kobe Bufkin's new opportunity with the Memphis Grizzlies and why this may finally be a very good situation for him. I kind of like the future outlook of this signing, so I'm going to break down why exactly I like that. I mean, he's bounced around several teams, and now he has landed in a pretty good spot. Then we are going to look at just the evolving rotation in Atlanta, just something that's just over and over again changing. We have injuries, we have all this stuff that is affecting the rotation, and so we have an interesting development. I actually wrote an article about it just yesterday. If you guys read that, then I'm going to kind of be expanding on that right now. Well, not right now, but later in this video. I mean, we're specifically going to talk about Mo Gueye's fight to keep his spot amid a very crowded and high-performing forward group has really just outseeded expectations just in general so far. After that, we're going to take a deep dive into the breakout of Vit Krejci, Pistol Vit Check. I mean, literally so many nicknames that he has developed over this hot stretch because he has been playing the best basketball of his life. So we're going to break that down into detail, how he's gone from, fringe rotation player to, one of the most dangerous movement shooters in the league and someone who is going to be a very valuable piece to the rotation just moving forward, just in general for Atlanta. And then finally, at the very end of this video, we are going to close with a full Hawks game day preview because the Atlanta Hawks, 11-7 Atlanta Hawks, are back in action tonight against the Washington Wizards. They're going to head to DC to take on the very much struggling Washington Wizards. Their record is absolutely horrible. If you guys are unfamiliar with what it is, you're going to hear all about it in the final segment. So be sure to be tuned in for that. It's actually NBA Cup action. It's Atlanta's third NBA Cup game, so definitely some exciting stuff to break down for tonight's video. So we got a whole lot to cover today. So without further ado, let's waste no more time in the intro and go ahead and start with Kobe Bufkin signing a 10-day contract with none other than the Memphis Grizzlies. So, I mean, his story just in general has been one of patience and persistence and honestly potential. Because I really kind of liked him coming out of Michigan. I thought Landry Fields was going to hit with that draft pick. I thought that was a good one. I mean, he was really excited when he drafted him. If y'all don't remember that video where right after he selected him, he was banging his hand on the table. He's like, yes, we got Kobe Bufkin. But it hasn't panned out for him in the league so far. He's really struggled so far in the few NBA minutes he's gotten. And when I say few NBA minutes, I don't mean that lightly. He was very much injured through his entire few seasons with the Hawks. He only played a handful of games, and in those games he was very inefficient, did not play very good basketball. He played with Atlanta's summer league team this past offseason. Just kind of they wanted to give him some run as like a primary guy, like a number one option, and while he put up decent numbers, I mean, his efficiency was really low. I mean, they really wanted to see him play some efficient ball, and he wasn't able to, and so I think they were comfortable kind of parting ways. I think both sides were kind of comfortable parting ways, but yeah, now after kind of months of shuffling between like practice squads and G League and just really he's kind of been on a few teams since the Hawks, but he's been given a legitimate NBA opportunity. Just a few days ago with the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a 10-day contract, so he's going to be with the team just for a little over a week and kind of given an opportunity to prove himself. Maybe knock down like a two-way contract if he impresses in these 10 days. I mean, what makes this story interesting is how many teams have been intrigued by Bufkin's upside, but have actually, they've been unable to use him. I mean, for the Hawks, like we were just kind of getting at, the timing was never right. I mean, he was drafted into a heavy guard room. I mean, for sure. I mean, Trae Young, Dyson Daniels are the ones that control the guard room now, and even now we have some depth there. But when he was drafted, I mean, we had DeJounte Murray, and then just he's always been in a loaded crowd. A crowded guard room in Atlanta. I mean, even Jalen Johnson now is becoming like a full-time point forward. So that's kind of just everything just made sense. I mean, Kobe wasn't going to crack the rotation this year, and so like parting ways with him was probably good for his career in the long term, but not in the immediate, because no one wanted to pick him up at first once he was traded from the Hawks and then released by the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, that type of ecosystem didn't leave space for a developing playmaker like Bufkin. I mean, playmakers like young point guards, young combo guards, because Kobe can kind of do it both. They need reps in the NBA, and it's never going to be pretty at first. I don't think like it's a very rare situation where a guard, a teenager, well, actually, I think Bufkin was 20 when he drafted him because he was a sophomore coming out of Michigan. But a player that young, a combo guard, will never be super successful as soon as they hit the NBA. I mean, it takes trial and error. It takes learning through these mistakes to finally become the NBA player that you are destined to be. And then this is a situation for Kobe Bufkin, and he was never going to fully get that run in Atlanta, just considering the crowded guard room. I mean, Brooklyn, once he was traded to the Nets, I mean, it was kind of their own version of the same problem. And even though the Nets are not anywhere near like being a good team in the NBA and even in the Eastern Conference just in general, they had young talent that they wanted to play that had priority over Bufkin in the rotation. I mean, they had so many guards that needed playing time, and even a guy like Cam Thomas, who has emerged as their top scorer. He emerged like last year as really like their number one guy. I mean, he's a guy who not many expected to be on the Nets this season, but he's still there. He signed that qualifying offer, and so he is someone who's commanding a lot of minutes in the nightly rotation. So it's Cam Thomas, and then it's guys they drafted like Gueye Demin, a guy that we previewed a lot on this channel heading into the draft because he was a guy we were certainly interested in. Just guys like Nolan Traore, and like a whole selection of guys in Brooklyn that were going to get minutes over Bufkin. So I mean, it didn't make sense from the jump, and I was kind of confused why Brooklyn would even make a deal for Bufkin. I mean, their backcourt rotation is already at the time it was overflowing with young players that they're fully committed to developing. So I mean, Kobe simply just wasn't high enough on the priority list there. Okay, and then after that, after he was released by the Brooklyn Nets, which came as a surprise to a good bit of people, but I wasn't necessarily surprised just considering who was already in their lineup. But then after that, he signed a G League, a very small G League deal with the South Bay Lakers. And it was kind of the same thing if you really look at that, because a lot of Lakers fans were, kind of looking at his outlook and saying like, okay, maybe this can be a guy that we signed to like a 10-day or we signed like a two-way contract, and then he occasionally gets minutes with the main ball club. But if you look at the Lakers main ball club, I mean, they have so many ball handlers. They have more ball handlers than the Hawks or the Nets. And I mean, this is a team with a lot of ball dominant players. I mean, there's just no oxygen for a developmental guard. It's a similar situation across all three teams, just kind of in different fonts. The Hawks, are just now aiming for contention. We're young, but we're also trying to, kind of take that leap. The Nets are a team that, just very young, but they already have like a young core they're trying to develop, and Bufkin didn't fit into that. And the Lakers, they're old, and they got a lot of veterans that need playing time, especially in the guard room. So none of those places worked out for Bufkin. I mean, he spent time with the South Bay Lakers for like a few days, but the path to any sort of NBA minutes just it wasn't there. But now we bring up the Memphis Grizzlies. So Bufkin signed a 10-day with the Memphis Grizzlies, and this situation could just be a little bit different for a guy like Kobe Bufkin. This could finally be the perfect fit that Bufkin has been waiting for. I don't want to overreact too much, but let's say he does knock down like a two-way contract after this 10-day. I think this can be a good spot for him to develop. I mean, one of Kobe's biggest strengths in his game is his ability to play alongside a decent big man and run. He's a very good pick and roll guard, and that intrigued Atlanta in the draft. And this is something that he is going to, once you are a good pick and roll player, especially a good pick and roll guard, like that's a skill you don't necessarily lose throughout your entire time in the NBA. And Kobe has it. I mean his. He developed kind of good chemistry with some of Atlanta's bigs, and he always kind of capitalized on good screen setters. And now Kobe Bufkin is entering a Memphis Grizzlies team who has a lot of big men, a lot of capable role bigs. Jaren Jackson Jr., who's a bit undersized, but is still a capable pick and roll player. I mean, Santi Aldama, who's good in the pick and pop, and also can finish a lob. Zach Edey, who is like 7'5". I mean, like taller than Victor Wembanyama, and that's kind of a perfect fit. I mean, if you're a guard going to the Memphis, if you're a playmaking guard, first of all, because Ja Morant's kind of struggling this year, and we're gonna actually talk about that in a second and kind of how this can benefit Kobe Bufkin. But I mean, if you are a guard who's focused on playmaking and definitely more of an inefficient shooter, I mean, Memphis is kind of a perfect spot for you to land. I mean, if you look at the Grizzlies' interior trio, I mean, of those three, I mean, it's one of the most physically imposing in the entire NBA. I mean, Jaren's a very good defender. I mean, Aldama gives you that shooting, and Zach Edey, like I said, the size on that man is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Bufkin has a golden opportunity here to kind of play his way, not necessarily into the rotation, but maybe into a full-term contract, maybe just for the rest of the season. And something like that is very, very crucial for a young player like this. And then if you look at Ja Morant, he has certainly been struggling this year. And this isn't even talking about the trade rumors, but if you look after Ja Morant, they don't have a lot of great point guard options. They have guys like, KCP and Cam Spencer, and I mean, they have Scottie Pippen Jr., which I don't even know what the deal is with him, but I mean, they just don't really have a whole lot of options after Ja Morant. And despite him struggling, there's also the trade rumors surrounding Morant. So, I mean, this could open a door. I mean, let's say Morant is traded, which it's honestly looking more likely by the day. And then you have a really empty point guard room, and then that legitimately could earn Kobe Bufkin at some point maybe even a starting job this year. I mean, that would take a whole lot of stuff to go his way. I mean, that would certainly be unlikely, but I mean, the possibility is there. And even if he doesn't knock down like a starting role, I mean, this is a guy who could knock down a backup role. I mean, that is legitimately, I think, he has legitimate solid backup point guard potential in the NBA. It's just kind of taking him he's on a different path. It's not a traditional path, but it's one that, the path is different for everyone. And if Kobe Bufkin lands a spot in Memphis's rotation, I'm going to be very happy for him, and everyone in Atlanta should be as well. I mean, this is certainly a storyline to, continue watching closely over the next few weeks, and just seeing, if he can get any bit of run in this 10-day contract, and how he does in that, potentially giving him a chance at a deal for the rest of the season. So now let's go ahead and move on and kind of shift back to Atlanta, where the Atlanta Hawks have managed to stay afloat, and honestly, that's putting it lightly. I mean, they've been thriving in the Eastern Conference with the schedule that they've been dealt so far, despite an avalanche of injuries, despite everything kind of being not exactly what we expected heading into this season. After they had that win streak, that West Coast trip, they came back and they lost 2 straight. And Hawks fans were starting to feel a little deflated. They're like, all right, we've kind of come back down to earth. We were playing great while Trey was out for a minute. And then, now we're kind of seeing that this offensive success is not sustainable. But they once again proved everyone wrong. After that, they now have racked up 2 straight wins. While they were 2 very inferior opponents, Atlanta has always had that tendency to play down to their competition, and this is not something that they have been doing so far this season. I mean, at all. They have 2 straight wins against the Pelicans and the Hornets. And now they play tonight against the Washington Wizards, so it's a great opportunity for 3 in a row. We'll have a full breakdown of that later in this episode. I mean, they are very much afloat in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they are top 5 right now, and it is still early in the season, and we've been dealing with injuries. So just think about when everyone's back, how high this team can fly. I mean, they've had impressive contributions up and down the roster, and the biggest reason for that success, when you talk about the injuries and talk about what all of the context for Atlanta. I mean, the biggest reason why Atlanta has been able to stay afloat and even thrive is because of their depth. And there are a few players, not just in the Atlanta Hawks, but in the entire NBA that kind of embody that next man up mentality more than Mohamed Gueye, who is obviously the 3rd-year forward out of Washington State that, Hawks fans have grown to know and love. I mean, they know him as that high energy, high impact player who does all the little things. He has proven that in his time with Atlanta. I mean, he's someone who can contest all types of shots. I mean, switch onto guards, legit such a versatile defender, and also a developing offensive player who has looked really solid on that end end this season. I mean, he's a guy who crashed the offensive glass in a season where Atlanta has been struggling on the boards, and he brings a spark literally every single time he checks into the game. It feels like Atlanta goes on a run every single time he checks into the game. And just remember, he started playing basketball just a few years ago. And so, well, when I say a few, like I think it's like 6 years. So that's still very little for a guy who's in his third season in the NBA. I mean, what are we talking about? And the thing with Mo Gueye is he doesn't always put up the most impressive box score numbers, but he's someone who his impact goes well beyond that box score. You feel it every possession, and he has just been absolutely killing it. And starting to kind of, I'm not gonna say fall off. I mean, he's starting to play less minutes, and that kind of leads us into what we're going to talk about for this segment, which is kind of a tough part. It's a tough reality for Atlanta to face, because his rotation spot may be in jeopardy, not because he hasn't played well, because he really has. He's played incredibly, and his development has been a very strong kind of thing for Atlanta fans to root for, because he's been great. And he hasn't regressed. He's been playing well, but the issue, it's kind of a blessing not a blessing in disguise. It's a gift and a curse. That's the term I was looking for. Because the Hawks forward room is seriously one of the deepest in the league. And while that's amazing, and it's really kind of what's separating us from the rest of these Eastern Conference teams. It can come at the expense of the development of a certain player. And this time, Mo Gueye may be that casualty. I mean, right now, when everyone is available, let's say like once Trae Young comes back, and the rest of the guys stay healthy at that time, hopefully, and you got to start looking at who is going to fall out of the rotation, because a lot of guys have stepped up in the absence of a lot of these players, and one of them has been Mo Gueye. And those final two spots, kind of seem increasingly likely, just based on the way that the rotations have kind of looked in recent games, and what Quinn Snyder is favoring. It looks like those final two spots, once everyone is healthy, the 9th and 10th men will go to Vit Krejci and Keaton Wallace. I do kind of firmly believe that. And, I don't think they'll, on a regular night, I don't think they'll go to, 11 men. I don't think they'll go that deep into the rotation. And here's the thing. I mean, Krejci has basically kind of locked in his spot at this point. I mean, we'll talk about that in the next segment and why he's really locked down a spot in the rotation, and he's just been absolutely killing it. But then you look at Keaton Wallace. I mean, this is a guy who we didn't really expect to play at all this season, but I mean, since opening night, since really the preseason, and then into opening night, and then into really just deep into the regular season, I mean, he has been trusted by Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder has had a lot of faith in Keaton Wallace to kind of step into that backup point guard role. Facilitate for the second unit, take on, tough defensive assignments, handle that secondary playmaking. And he plays with a sort of discipline that coaches love. And so and that has come as a bit of a surprise, but Quinn Snyder has kind of stuck with that. And so I don't see him just falling out of the rotation. I mean, he had the priority over both Vit and Mo Gueye at the beginning of the season, so I don't think he's just going to fall behind both of them. And so even though Mo Gueye has been absolutely incredible, he's been excellent off the bench, he's been fitting that exact role that we've needed him to, he might be the odd man out here. I mean, his minutes have already dropped significantly. I mean, if you look at the game against the Suns, he only logged 10 minutes, to the complaints of Hawks fans. And then, if you thought the complaints were bad in that game, when they took on the San Antonio Spurs, he only played 4. I mean, he practically wasn't even on the court. He barely saw the floor. I mean, I certainly disagree with that, given who was not in the lineup, but you can't control that, and you got to start looking at the reality of it. And once again, this isn't a demotion due to poor play. It's a numbers game. I mean, Atlanta simply has too much depth, and this is a good problem to have, but it can come at an unfortunate circumstance like this one. This doesn't mean we won't see Mo Gueye, though. I mean, it's far from it. He's still a very, very important player for the future, and specifically for this season, because NBA rotations are changing constantly. I mean, injuries happen, matchups vary. I mean, Snyder is not, he's shown that he's not afraid to kind of switch up the rotation a little bit. He's not scared to go maybe like 11 or 12 deep, just, depending on matchups. I mean, let's say we're going against a team with a much larger front court. I mean, Gueye will absolutely play. This will be a matchup dependent thing. I don't think the 9th and 10th men and Krejci and Wallace will be a permanent thing, but I know those guys are important to the lineup and they will play good minutes. It's just a matter of the matchup. It's against like switch switch-heavy defenses, I mean, he'll get minutes because he can switch on to really anyone. He's one of Atlanta's better defenders, on the entire team. If another forward misses time as well, like a Jalen Johnson or even like a big, like a KP or a Onyeka Okongwu, I mean, like Gueye is a versatile player. He can fit into any of those roles and he will jump right back up that ladder. But I mean, given how things have shaken out so far this season, I mean, Mo Gueye deserves minutes for sure, but he may not always get them. And it's a very tough situation for a talented young player who deserves minutes and needs minutes to kind of blossom and to kind of develop as a player on both ends of the floor. But it does speak to the strength of Atlanta's roster. So now moving on, speaking of players who have kind of made decisions a little bit difficult for head coach Quinn Snyder this season, let's talk a little bit about Vit Krejci, because right now, I mean, the play of Vit Krejci has been flat out undeniable. I mean, he has been awesome. He kind of cooled down last game, but regardless, this whole stretch, he has proven that he is going to be someone that Quinn Snyder puts a lot of trust in because he has been playing incredibly. November has kind of been a coming out party for him. He has been, lighting it up from long range and just doing really all the little things that Quinn Snyder and really Hawks fans in general just love to see. And this transformation is seriously wild when you remember that, at the beginning of the season, kind of like I said in the last segment, he wasn't really in the rotation. He picked up 4 DNPs in the first 6 games. I mean, he was someone who wasn't really prioritized, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me in general, just because of how well he shot the 3-ball last year. And, we need as much shooting as we can get. And he's also not a bad defender. So I kind of expected him to be in the lineup going into the season, but he wasn't on opening night. And that was a surprise to me. And I was like, damn, I mean, he's just not part of the rotation. But then, the injuries hit Atlanta's backcourt and wings, and even in the front court when we have a KP not playing on back-to-backs, and then you also dealing with like whatever mystery injuries he has like throughout the season. And then, Onyeka has missed a few games, and you've had players, you've had Jalen who's missed a few. Like that's the thing, like this is another situation of like NBA rotations are always changing just because of how often players get hurt or they sit out or really any other context. But, like I said, like next man up mentality, Krejci stepped right into the gap and he never gave those minutes back. In fact, Quinn Snyder is closing like every game with him so far. I mean, Krejci is prioritizing closing games over a Zachary Ricochet, over some of these guys. I mean, Quinn Snyder trusts him a whole lot, and he has good reason to, considering the way he's been playing. I mean, this season, he is shooting 49.3% from 3. And, someone may see that 49% and be like, okay, this is not on high volume. This is unsustainable. But he shot 43% from deep last season. And this season, that percentage is coming on over 5 attempts from long range per game. I mean, just ridiculous numbers. This is actually second in the league among players with 30 or more attempts. So, I mean, he's in very, very elite company. He's proving to be one of the best shooters in the entire NBA. He's kind of been who we thought we were going to get out of Luke Kennard, but, whatever. And this isn't a fluke. I mean, this is sustainable stuff. This is who he is. He is a very good shooter. This is actually going to be his 3rd straight season shooting at least 40% from deep. And I'm already, kind of like racking him up for the season. I'm already saying like, yeah, he's shooting over 40% this season, because this is not going to be something that falls off tremendously. I mean, he's still, when everyone's healthy, he will be a bench player, but he's a valuable one, and he's someone who we know who we're getting out of him. I mean, we know what we're getting out of him, but he still has so much potential to grow. It's really just a win-win situation for the Hawks. And what truly has kind of set Vit Krejci apart has been his shot diet, because, I mean, he has been unafraid to let it fly. I mean, he knocks down the easy ones for sure. I mean, the open threes, what you kind of expect, like really any NBA player in the modern NBA to do. But, just what really happens, aside from the 3-point makes. I mean, he is just an all-around impact player, kind of like Mohamed Gueye, although he's not necessarily anywhere near the type of defender that Gueye is. I mean, he's someone that he's putting up crazy shots. First of all, like his shot, his shot selection sometimes can be a little ridiculous, but he's someone who will make them. But also he's just flying around the court. He's defending multiple positions. He's also a very, very underrated playmaker. He's going to find the open guy. He's going to do all of the little things. He's a great transition player. He's great in the fast break. Not even necessarily like cherry picking. He's usually the one that's finding the person who was cherry picking. He's pulling from 3. Like I said, like that is the biggest part of his game. I mean, he's developing into such a sharpshooter, but he's not just he's not like a sharpshooter that just is doing that. And he's making these ridiculous threes. And his performance against the LA Clippers was kind of the best game of his career so far. He had 28 points, which was a career high. And he was 8 of 10 from beyond the arc, including a game-saving block on Nick Batum's late attempt. And then just the other night, he shot 7 to 10 from deep. In the Atlanta win. So, I mean, legit just sustainable stuff, and it has been incredible. And if you look at kind of Atlanta's bench group, I mean, what a group. I mean, what a sharpshooting group. I mean, you also have Luke Kennard, who's statistically like the third greatest three-point shooter in NBA history. Both of them kind of thrive off of movement shooting. So, you get Trae Young back into that mix, and you have, Trae, leading them on these crazy passes and kind of off-balance shots, and it won't matter because they have shown in the NBA that they can knock them down. I mean, it's kind of a situation where they're stretching defenses to almost their breaking points. I mean, they're creating easy driving lanes for like a Jalen Johnson or a KP or a Dyson Daniels, or really anyone that's kind of getting into the lane and focusing on getting a lot of their points in the paint. I mean, his emergence has really kind of come with tactical implications too. I mean, at 6'8" with guard skills while also being like listed as a forward. I mean, Quinn Snyder can kind of use him in whatever he wants, and that's why he has kind of leaned on him a little bit, and not just in the fourth quarter, but really just for entire games. He's never going to be someone who's going to be like well, I'm not even going to say he can't be a long-term starter, because he really can be. He's still super young, but I mean, this is a guy who he's going to have an important role, whatever role he's playing, whether injuries have happened and he's in the starting lineup, or he's playing an important role off the bench, or he's only playing a few minutes off the bench. He's going to be prioritized whenever he is on the floor. And now the question is really whether Quinn Snyder should begin building certain offensive sets around Krejci's movement, because that is how valuable he has become. I mean, 3 seasons of very elite shooting. I mean, improved decision making, solid playmaking, unique physical tools. I mean, Vit Krejci has had a legitimate breakout in terms of his game, and seriously, I mean, he's here to stay. So let's wrap up today's episode with this final segment where we preview the game today. The Atlanta Hawks are back in action tonight to take on the very much struggling Washington Wizards, and actually divisional rival Washington Wizards. So important game, and on top of that, it's an NBA Cup game. It's Atlanta's third game in NBA Cup group play. We're resuming that, and Atlanta needs pretty much everything they can get in the NBA Cup right now. I mean, they got to win their final 2 games during this group play. And they've got to have a little bit of luck go their way. They've got to have certain teams lose. They're going to need a lot to go on in order to clinch that wild card spot and then potentially go back to Vegas like they were last year. I mean, that was super exciting last year, so hopefully they can get back into that mix. But it starts tonight with a very important one against the struggling Wizards. For the Atlanta Hawks, they enter this matchup having won 7 of their last 9, and they've actually posted a 9-4 record since Trae Young went down with that MCL sprain. So very good stuff. I mean, we could certainly use Trae in some of these late game situations, but they have looked decent without him. And Trae's reevaluation is something that is coming decently soon. So I mean, keep up for updates on that on this channel, because we don't have too much longer until he kind of gets looked at again, and then we have a legit timetable for his return. Until then, though, I mean, the Hawks are not out of anything. It's been the Jalen Johnson show. He has been incredible. He's averaging 22.4 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 7 assists per game on the season. And if you really narrow it down to these last 8 or so games, I mean, he's averaging MVP numbers. And that's not an overreaction. He's legitimately averaging a 26-point triple-double. I mean, just absolutely insane numbers. This is a rising All-NBA player. Most importantly, though, I mean, he kind of has addressed an important area of his game, the turnovers, because early in the season he was turning the ball over a good bit more because he was getting used to this new ball handling role, new number 1 option role, kind of more of a point forward than he's ever been. But he has cleaned up his turnover issues against Charlotte. The previous win where Atlanta kind of scraped by Charlotte with a W. He didn't commit a single turnover, and he had double-digit assists. I think he had 11 with 0 turnovers, which is incredible. I mean, that's something that is really, really good. I mean, he's showing real growth in that department. Just as a decision maker, and just showcasing more of his composure that has been growing every single year that he's been in the NBA. Back into the NBA Cup context, though, Atlanta enters this NBA Cup game at 1-1, while Washington sits at 0-2. And this is not the bad part of Washington's season. While they haven't even racked up a win in the NBA Cup, if you look at their overall outlook, I mean, it has been horrible, and it's been rough for Washington Wizards fans. They are 1-15 on the season, and they actually started 1-1, and now they have lost 14 straight. So at this point, it's don't be that team. The Hawks don't want to lose to this team. It would be really, really embarrassing. This is actually, the Wizards are actually approaching a franchise record. They're just sitting 2 losses away from tying 3 separate 16 games losing skids over the last 2 seasons, it's been really rough for the Wizards, man. They have shown signs of life, and this hasn't been a team that has just been getting blown out every game. They actually played the Bulls in their last outing. They led by 8 in the fourth quarter before collapsing late, and I think the Bulls kind of locked in. They're like, we cannot lose to this terrible team. And head coach Brian Keefe insists that the group is improving, and you can see that in their play, but they still have lost 14 straight, and the Hawks should not look past them tonight. I mean, they should go in with a locked-in mentality, take care of business, and also it's an NBA Cup game, so point differential matters, especially in Atlanta's situation, because they're not going to win their group. I mean, they're like firmly placed in like second or third, so they point differential matters. So let's win tonight. Let's win handily. Let's run up the score a little bit. I mean, it's a kind of a clear goal for the Atlanta Hawks tonight. They're coming in as a heavy favorite, and they need to take care of business. And with the way the Hawks have been playing over this recent stretch, I mean, with strong bench performances, elite shooting from really everyone in the starting lineup and in the bench, on the bench, and Jalen Johnson taking full control and developing into that number one option that we never really expected him to do. I mean, the expectation for them tonight is to seriously take care of business. As we've learned, though, I mean, no NBA game is ever a guarantee. Hawks in previous years have tended to play down to their opponents, and that has kind of changed this year. But old habits at some point may start to show up. I don't want to be negative, but I just really hope Atlanta does not overlook their opponent tonight, because this is a team that will still play hard. I mean, the Wizards still have some vets. They have a CJ McCollum, who I'm not really afraid of, but he is someone with experience, and I'm hopefully this isn't a trap game, because a lot of times Atlanta does get trapped in games like this. But they will need to come in locked in and ready, especially since it's on the road and it's an NBA Cup game where every win now matters. So to recap, we covered Kobe Bufkin's fresh opportunity with the Memphis Grizzlies, Mo Gueye's evolving role in Atlanta's deep rotation, and why he potentially maybe kind of seeing less minutes as time goes on, Vit Krejci, Pistol Vit's absolute breakout as one of the best shooters in the NBA, and what to expect tonight as the Atlanta Hawks take on the Washington Wizards. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you guys enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on the channel. We're going to be pumping out videos every single day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know down below, what are your thoughts on Kobe Bufkin's new opportunity in Memphis? What are your thoughts on Mo Gueye's potential diminishing role in the lineup? Vit Krejci's breakout, and what do you think about tonight's matchup against the Wizards? Do you think we're getting our third straight W heading into a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday? Let me know that all down below. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and I will see you guys next time.